Hey, what's up guys, DiplexHeated here again, welcome back to Men of Assault Squad 2 and welcome back to part 3 of the miniseries we didn't quite finish last year, and I thought we'd kick off the New Year's here with an explosive and very brutal battle featuring some very cool experimental units and whatnot. So in part 1 we witnessed the British attack on the preliminary defenses surrounding the base itself, which was unfortunately quite unsuccessful. They deployed some serious land cruisers there, which did a lot of damage to the German defenses, but they were unable to break through the trenches and other entrenched positions using the other infantry and Churchills at the British disposal. In part 2, we added the US to the mix. It went better because obviously we deployed more tanks for the Brits and the US so that we could get closer to the base itself. It was one hell of a battle. It included more experimental tanks. We had the US M46 Patton. A lot of people were like, oh, you should use the M26 Pershing, but hey, this is an experimental and fictional storyline. It's not really following the historical path of World War II. In this storyline, Germany has not been pushed back as heavily as they would have been at that time historically. They're doing a lot better, and they're about to deploy some really nasty experimental weapons. So in part 2, we gave them some M46 Pattons, which were, I think, technically deployed in 1949. They had some really cool incendiary rounds too. We had an M6A1, I believe it was called. I believe it's at least the M6 at a start. It was a Sherman-looking thing that I didn't really know the name of, and a lot of you guys obviously corrected me there. We had the British TOG 2s and some German Maus tanks towards the end. These were actually deployed though. I think like 1 or 2 actually saw some kind of combat, like they were just finished, but the Russians kind of got to the factory or something. I'm not entirely sure, but that is indeed very cool. We have some Waffenträgers here on the top here, and these are like auto-loading guns. They fire 6 rounds and then they take a while reloading, but they're very rapid and they're going to be extremely dangerous for the attacking Russians. Yes, we're going to give the Western allies a break, and we're going to bring on the Soviets. They're going to be the ones who can potentially take home the victory today and the glory of defeating this base. It's a super base. It's not a fort, but it's a super base, and it's going to be insanely cool. We have 8 Russian waves, and we're going to be attacking this place in a style of the German super fortress, where I bring in 1 wave at a time, kind of control the attacker without doing too much. We have some Panther 2s here, some variants, one with a 105mm gun and one with the 75mm gun as well. I believe it's the KVK-44. Thermal sights, you name it. Up here we have a King Tiger looking thing that has been like converted into like a nashorn / elephant. It's like moved all the way to the back here, so that looks very cool. We have the E100, which is absolutely insane. Bunkers with MG42s and some 20mm in it. We got in it, bro, and it. Jeez, I don't even know what that was about. We got the Flak 88. These are for like more close proximity defense. They won't have as much range as all the other units around here, but it's gonna be pretty crazy. And there are way crazier prototypes in this mod that I want to use. But this is part 3. I want to wrap up this kind of like attack on this super base. And if you guys want to see more fictional World War II battles, perhaps from a storyline that I create myself, where Germany kind of is beating the Allies back on both sides, which would be cool, obviously, you know, an alternative history, then we can definitely employ some more serious tanks. There are just so many crazy experimental tanks in this mod, but I didn't want to use too many for this just static defense, because you can't really utilize a tank just having it standing still all the time. You want it to move and traverse some terrain and battle different kinds of units in different settings. So without further ado, this is the first Russian wave. These are T-44s. How cool is that? Those guns are crewed. They just don't have anyone on top of the crew hatch there. We have 100 infantrymen, and in the other waves, I will show you. There's the wall that's meant to obviously keep these guys safe somewhat. We have something called a T-28, and I know that this might not be very late war at all. I just deployed it because it has several guns, and it looks cool. I think that down there is a gun. It's got 2 machine guns in rotatable turrets, I believe, and then it has a main gun on top with another machine gun, 100 infantrymen. Behind that, we have some T-44s with a 122mm gun. I don't know what this tank is, but it looks really cool. Definitely wanted to use this. It's got like a nasty 50 caliber on top. It looks like a 50 cal, like a Browning, almost. Medusa. And then more infantry, obviously 100 per wave, so there's going to be 800 infantrymen attacking today. We have the KV-4. That has like 2 turrets on it, which is really cool. I'm not sure what the millimeter on that one is. Could be 37 on top, perhaps a little less. Very cool stuff. KV-4s and KV-5s. This one also has more turrets on it. We have some SU, is it SU-122 Type 54, I think? followed by some SU-100s, another type variant that was obviously developed after the regular SU-100s and 122s that we actually saw during the war. So they look very experimental, and this thing looks like a beast. Very Cold War style, very interesting. IS-4s and IS-5s, I believe. These are the IS-4s and these are the IS-5s. Should be. No. This could perhaps be the IS-4. You know what? We'll find out once we deploy them. And towards the end here, a KV-6, which is like a land cruiser itself. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guns. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 machine guns and rockets on it. It's just insane. Wow, 3 of those for the last wave. If this can't beat the prototype base, then the Germans will definitely be awarded some sort of... What was that? That was the camera pan. Cool, now you saw that. They will definitely be given the chance to counterattack, and the series will live on. Even if the Russians do seize this base, then the series will definitely continue. So, I'm excited. We're going to click start, and we're going to get the battle going. Here comes the first attack. Look at these T-44s. They're so fast, and they're already opening fire at the German defense. Let's have a look at the recipients here, which would be the Germans. And look at these Waffenträgers. Oh my god. They fired... This guy on the left fired 3 shells and the one on the right fired 4. But they have more ready to be fired, I believe. Which is quite amazing. This wall of death is going to be receiving a lot of fire from the attacking Russians, but I would not want to be a Russian attacking this position, that is for sure. We have a Hummel back here that's going to be providing some artillery support. And on the German side of things, they've lost one of the... I believe this is like a flak panzer on the left. They've lost 2 Panther IIs too. Have these been completely destroyed? No, they're a little torched, but they're not completely destroyed. This guy over here is... still active. Very good. A few smoke pillars climbing up from this side of the fight. So that is quite cool to see. And these T-44s are still engaging the German defenses. And their range seems to be a lot greater than the defenders for some reason. So we're going to bring them a little closer where they can actually get hit by the attackers. But they seem to be very eager to rush at the enemies. And look at that bullet storm as the infantry is starting to attack now. Let's pause and let's bring in the next wave. Okay, this one's going to be with the T-28s. So not everything here is after war or experimental, of course. Some of it is perhaps very realistic in terms of usage, but I wanted a variety, and I wanted some stuff that's just really cool. And these tanks definitely have that. Moving pieces of destruction. And they're not too unarmored either, and the main guns are actually 76 mil, so... this could be more promising than we think. And these are a lot slower than the T-44s who rushed up front. They certainly did a lot of damage to the German defense for being the first wave. One of the Waffenträgers is hit up here as well. Is it completely destroyed? No, it's got a driver in it, but it needs some gunners. So, obviously, we're going to abide to that. We're going to send up, perhaps not an MG gunner, but we're going to send up some spare infantry down here. Because, as always, with these kind of videos, I do control the attackers and defenders. Or at least I aid them. I don't really control them, I just aid them in many ways. Look at that. And look at the shell ejection on the back of this Panther. I want to get a cool little screenshot. Look at that. Boom. I love the camouflage. And this destruction is just absolutely insane. We'll get a cheeky little picture over there. I was looking on this side. Oh, Jesus. Look at that explosion. That is wonderful. That's great. I love that. Boom. So how are the two T-28s going? Well, they're slowly moving up against the defense. They seem to be getting quite picked off early on. Obviously, a lot of infantry still alive and kicking. Oh, accidental screenshot. That did not. Wasn't planned for at all. Troops are moving up on the right side. We have a squad that's going to try and get a little closer. They have a lot of cover here, like some natural declines in the terrain, which will give them some protective cover. But as soon as they get a little too close to the German infantry here, they're going to get mowed down quite quickly. Love the way the smoke just climbs in the horizon like that. Plenty of infantry attacking. Now would be a good time to send in the third wave. Oh man, we've got a lot of waves remaining here. Perhaps now they will start doing some serious damage to the actual defense. The first ones were like a little warm-up. They were meant to really test the waters and to see what was going down. And I think with the kind of tanks that the Russians will be getting in this wave, that it's going to be very, very different for the German defense. Now they're actually really going to have to step it up, because as soon as they start losing some of those heavier tanks, it's going to go quickly. You know, it's not going to be a long while between the first and second casualty. You know, it's going to get quicker and quicker between the destruction of the defensive tanks, because their general defensive capability will be worsened with every casualty they take, which means that it'll take less time to destroy other German tanks defending the base itself. Wow, look at this thing. I believe this tank is amphibious, based off of the hull, the chassis, so to speak, and it's got a mean 100 and I think either 50 or 22 millimeter gun. Currently just rolling up at the enemy defenses. Oh, jeez. This Russian tank is ruthless. That Hummel is still firing back there. How are the Waffenträgers doing? They're aiming in. They're finding their targets. Perhaps they're still reloading, but you can always obviously do the aiming pre-hand. We have some German infantry with AT weapons down there aiming in at some of the attackers. This attack is crazy, and we've lost another Panther II in the middle there. But the E100s and the King Tiger variants up here are still active. Look at the shells being ejected out of all these tanks. That is epic. Boom, big detonation down there. Some infantry scrambling around the place. I don't know what's going on with this one. It's got like some emoji smoke clouds at the front of the tank. Hopefully that'll dissipate with time. It looks a little weird. Wow. Still some pretty insane explosions here for Wave 3. Did we do any more damage? Let's take a look at the German defenses. We have a turret that's been blown all the way up here. This tank is active. This one is as well. These are two. This one's being, I think, repaired. This one's out. So I'm going to take the tank crew and send the tank crew back up here, because they're going to be needed to crew other tanks that might be losing tank crew as well. We don't want to take infantry with some serious weaponry from the front line to crew the tanks. We would definitely like to use tank crewmen for that purpose, obviously. So I'm going to already just go ahead and throw these two Germans out of it. They're all... there we go. Get some tank crew in it. Cool. Can crew that MG42 again. Oh, I love the way it sounds when these 150mm L38 guns are firing at the enemy. That's absolutely insane. Oh, it's been quite quiet again. Lots of Russian infantry moving around. I wonder how many are alive. 300 Russian infantrymen have attacked so far, and well, you can tell most of them are dead. But it's only Wave 3. We have a lot more waves to come in, and I believe Wave 6 or 8, sorry. Even Wave 6 will be interesting, but Wave 8 more particularly might be very difficult for the German defense to counter, because of the fact that we've got rocket artillery coming in on top of those KV-6s, and it's going to be so devastating. I can't even begin to think about how the German defenders are going to react to that. So we'll send up some more tanks. The KV-4 this time around, I believe, with a 122mm main gun, and it's got a secondary gun up there, which has also got obviously some firepower that will be useful in today's battle. The infantry will automatically move up behind. But these pieces, these tanks are nasty looking. I do like it. It looks like a very classical tank. Huge turrets, or huge guns and turrets, of course. And the size of them in general is just massive. And they already took some fire there from some German defenders, and they haven't been destroyed yet. Hopefully they can put some efficient fire on the German defense to knock a few of the defending tanks out. And this is all for the sake of the Russians. Let's get I want to get a cool screenshot when some tanks fire. Like that one. Like the E100. It couldn't get any less cool than that. Or any more cool, almost. This is absolutely cool. The flak guns are now starting to kick into the fight. And so far these KV-4s are Staying more or less alive. Look, one of the Hummels. The Hummel itself back here has been destroyed. That will not be providing any more HE artillery support to the front line here, which is quite bad, to be honest. We've got another Panther 2 burning away here. So the front line is definitely starting to take some fire. Some of the tanks up here are even going down. Well, that is very grim for the defenders. Look at that. Lots of explosions and oh my lord. Just. Okay, but how could you not stand and stop for a second and just enjoy the insane carnage of all these tanks shooting at each other? And how are the Waffenträgers doing? I believe they're still reloading. It's a German wall of death. How else do you want me to describe it? It's absolutely insane. I do want to see more of the Waffenträger action. And I do want to get a few of these. I'd love to have the Flak and the E100 and the other King Tiger variant, which I will continue calling it, because it is indeed practically a King Tiger with a different position of the turret. I'd love to see them fire as well. Oh, I think one of the Waffenträgers just fired. They do fire like 6 rounds rapidly, a few seconds in between each shot. It's devastating. It is absolutely devastating. Infantry starting to get closer, though. A lot of the German infantry up front now is starting to die down. Boom. Jeez, look at that. I think it's time for the next wave, which would be the 5th wave in this time. Oof. Okay, so a mix of KV... There's a helmet back here. A mix of KV 4s and 5s. Which should be very interesting. I don't think I even need to move them any more than just over here. I think they'll kick into the action quite naturally on their own. Look at the bullets landing back here. Infantry, isn't it time to move? Oh. Yes, there we go. They're gonna join the fight naturally. So, these tanks are going to be providing a lot of cover for the infantry. And, of course, the other tanks themselves. It might even be hard for the Germans to spot out which tank is combat active and not. And I'm letting them leave like this on their own. And perhaps it's good to send them all up at once, but by allowing the AI to move them up manually, it'll simply give them more time to accurately pick out some of the targets they definitely do want to engage. And now we'll get an interesting look here at the Waffenträgers firing at the attacking Soviet tanks. It's simply insane. Well, we definitely haven't caught them at the start of a volley, but if we do catch them at the start of a volley, we'll see 6 or so shells rapidly fired, which is quite impressive, to be honest. Wow. Oh wow, the Flak and King Tiger variant fired at the same time. That was very cool. I think this Flak has a way higher reload speed though than the tank for some reason. Because it seems to be dropping shells a lot quicker. Wow. There's another cool one. You can't hate on the cool ones, can you? Can't hate on the cool ones. Nice. So this is the KV-5. For some reason its engine bay is like open. It could have been blown back or away, I presume. And its turn is so lifted that it should be able to like fire over the defenses, or at least fire over the scrap metal in front of it. The amount of fire that it's taking is just insane. Are we destroying any more German tanks back here? The next wave should easily be able to tackle some of these German tanks up here. At least the ones at the front that have been completely destroyed. And I know that this Maus can be destroyed by even some of the tanks that we saw in part 2. It was almost close to happening, as a matter of fact. Whoa, look at that. Some of the armor plating shot back completely. So that is progress. If you can put a few more rounds on that German tank, then you might see some real progress. There we go. It hit right below the turret. It's being shot as well. Yeah, I think it's time we send in wave 7 now. No, 6. What a pleasant surprise. More Russians to join the fray. It's like when you think you only have 2 more Christmas gifts, but yet you have 3. Who wouldn't be happy about that? I know the Russians would. Free and move. They will definitely be moving out on their own. Otherwise, I could obviously give them a tiny bit of hand. I think that's all they need. The other tanks will certainly be moving out on their own. So this time around, there are obviously some Russian tanks still active on the field. Not for long, perhaps. Oh, geez, the infantry is just getting pummeled. But this tank, the armor is still holding. It's very much equal to... That could have perhaps been too much for that one to take. The armor seems to be very equal to some of the armor on some of the tanks back there. And, ooh, these self-propelled guns are moving up. Oh, that's a good stop there and shoot. Shoot at the German defense. Give them all you got, boys. Some of the more late war tanks are being destroyed as they're moving up a little too close to the German defense. This is insane. This is like a wall of death. And the E100, when it fires, it gives away a very, like, muted sound. Which ultimately is very cool. But very muted. This is dope. This is amazing. Infantry still active, though, moving up. And they're going to be getting closer and closer. But I don't know what to say about this. The infantry up here is still very much combat active. Many have died, but the armor behind the infantry itself has taken more casualties than the infantry behind the sandbags. But the Russians have the firepower to do it. Look at the amount of machine gun fire, though, from all the tanks and the bunkers. Oh man, there's like more guns firing at the Russian attackers than there are Russian attackers. This is crazy. That was the 6th wave. It needs to come down to the 2 next waves, and I think I might deploy them together or in a rapid succession. I think we'll have to do something like that to get any kind of assault. I'm going to take these huge waves. We're going to bring them up. 200 Russians. Lots of IS tanks and 3 experimental land battleships or land ships or whatever you want to call them. They will be about attacking the German defense. And is it going to be enough to topple the heavy defenses themselves? We'll find out. We're going to unpause and we're going to let them get to the business. Yes. I just hope we get to see some of those Katyusha rockets being fired. Oh, it's being aimed. There we go. Scheiße! That is crazy. Look at the destruction. Oh, surely some of the flak guns have to be going down now. That was 1 rocket barrage. And there are more to come. Some of the IS tanks are moving up here. Getting pummeled by the defenses. Somehow staying alive, though, it seems. This KV-6 is moving up as well. More rockets being fired at the German defense. Oh, jeez. Well, what do you say about this? I don't know. Maybe we need to speak to some sort of doctor about this, because this might give us the awesome syndrome. Jeez. Oh, it's going to be firing its rockets too. Oh. Love to get some screenshots. Who doesn't? The bunkers are being shot out completely. The flak guns must be down by now. But this KV-6 is starting to take some serious fire. And it might be seeing the end of itself. We have some IS tanks back here that's providing some interesting fire support. These IS tanks down here have been completely destroyed. But the land cruiser's still moving up against the German defenders. I don't know what is going to happen with this thing, but they're still progressing. They are extremely well armored. And I do want to see more of these in the future. Oh, we're going to have a nice look at the Waffenträger here getting to work. Look at those rapid fires. Oh. Oh. Finally. That is amazing. The lag is becoming quite severe. It usually gets better by time. Here it seems to have gotten worse with time. I wonder which tanks are still active and not here. Most of them seem to be. The mouse down here is definitely destroyed. The entire front defense is pretty much gone. But look at these KV-6s. They're still moving up. What do you say about this? I don't know. What is mentally sane to comment about this? I don't understand. This thing is insane. It's gonna probably try and reload the rockets. It seems to be aiming at the enemy, but I think this tank has done its most. No, it's still active. It still has the tracks in. It's got all the guns on it, still active. And it's being supported by some combat active IS tanks back here as well. Oh, but there we go. It is definitely destroyed now. Yep, that thing is not going to be kicking again. This KV-6 tank is dead as well, and the one back here is definitely gone. Some of the turrets are still firing at the enemy, but I don't think it has the ability to move. Can we look? I can't control it, so I think it's glitched out a bit. And how's it looking with the other IS tanks that attacked? I'm not sure, but one thing is for certain. 8 times 6, 52 tanks attacked? No, 48. That would be the right. 5 times 8 is obviously 40, so times 6, that would be 48. 48 Russian tanks attacked in 8 waves. And 800 infantrymen joined them. So this has definitely not been an easy task for the German defense. So far, pretty much all the tanks at the front have been lost. Let's take a look. This Mouse is down. This Panther's down. This Flak Panzer is definitely down as well. Some of the infantry is alive up here. This Panther's down. This Panther's down. This Panther's down. All these tanks are down as well. This Mouse, as a matter of fact, is still active. Both Waffenträgers are still online. And all the tanks up here seem to be active miraculously, despite all the heavy fire. Flaks are down. The bunkers are down. This gun down here is still active. But these tanks are, I still think, quite fine. But if you look, it's way more empty than it was at the start. And this is quite scary. What about these tanks? They need some repairing. So why don't we give them some quick repairs just so they can get their tracks working again. What about one final Soviet infantry charge to honor the men in Stalingrad who died many years ago doing the same thing? A lot less MG fire right now, but still quite a generous amount. And the amount of blood puffs that you see appearing is just insane. This is a wall of death. This is more firepower than the German super fortress had. And these are all freshly produced here in this factory. Hummel is down, of course. So the Russians did do a lot of damage, but these tanks, facing them from the front, there's just no way. You're going to need to, like, bomb this place to try and avoid perhaps all the flak fire, because there's going to be a lot of AA defenses here, which is going to make it harder, but I think the only proper way to destroy a factory like this and its defenses is to, like, nuke it. Tactical nuke, at least. Wow, this is quite insane. Those tanks are not going to be combat active for quite some time, so I think we're going to wrap it up. Russians were unfortunately not capable of succeeding despite all the heavy tanks, and especially the KV-6s towards the end who fire the rockets. But do not forget that many German tanks were destroyed today. A whole lot less, of course, than the Russian attackers, but still. In a toe-to-toe fight on even ground, I mean, all the IS tanks here would definitely be capable of destroying the E-100s and this tank, whatever name it is. and now they're needing to repair the other engines or whatever that were destroyed. So very cool stuff indeed. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you guys want to see more experimental battles in the future, then let me know and I will definitely deliver. Hope you had a good one, and I'll see you guys soon again. Bye.